am Arpit, and I am now here with the second part of the Yojana analysis for the month of December 2023. Now, in our previous video, we've covered two topics, that is India's moonshot, largely talking about India's space program and the regional rapid transit system, because we've got our first regional rapid transit system. In this particular video, we will be covering these two topics, that is India's growing stature, a rising superpower, which clearly highlights, India's contributions in the present day world. The present day world, which is actually facing a lot of challenges. A lot of challenges like conflicts between countries like Russia, Ukraine, or Israel and Gaza. Climate change is another major challenge which the entire world is facing. Many countries are not able to recover properly from the COVID-19 pandemic induced shocks. Their economies are struggling. There are supply side constraints in many, I would say, essential commodities like food, fuels, and fertilizers. Now, this article talks about what has been India's contributions in tackling all these major changes or challenges. Now, India's efforts are actually applauded by one and all, and these efforts have enabled India to rise its stature. Actually, the India's contributions are largely, I would say, driven by its core values. Like, for example, this year's G20 summit, the theme was Vasudev Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future, where we tended to unite one and all, whether the West or Russia, developed or developing or underdeveloped. We had this intention to unite all and fight these global challenges collectively, because Vasudev Kutumbakam clearly signifies that the entire world is one family. So these, I would say, standpoints of India definitely have, made India earn this position where India is right now. Then the second topic here is Meri Mati Mera Desh. This particular topic is basically a campaign, I would say, which was launched by the government. This campaign aims to commemorate all those freedom fighters who have contributed in nation development, and also, promote the concept of Ek Bharat Shresht Bharat. These are the two major objectives of this particular campaign, where people from all across the country are required to bring soil, that is mati, and rice grains with them, and come to eventually the national capital, where a memorial will be built and a vatika will be built. Vatika means a garden type will be built by using that mati. So we will start with these two topics, beginning with the first topic, that is India's growing stature, a rising superpower. Now, our Prime Minister is now no longer a mute spectator or an observer at the global events. This, I would say, change has been there because people look up to him. People means many countries look up to him. Countries, the developed countries look up to him for various solutions. The developing and underdeveloped world also look up to him. That is the global south. And guess what? He has delivered on all his promises, or he has delivered in a different way that is acceptable to all, praised by all, which is definitely making us go on the path of becoming a Vishwa Guru. We have been a Vishwa Mitra, means the global friend to all, developed, developing, underdeveloped, West, Russia. So, like this, a Vishwa Guru, global teacher, we can be, because we are, showing the path that how to deal with these kind of problems, and a Vishwa Vaid, global physician, because in the times of COVID, we not only supplied vaccines to more than 100 countries, and our vaccine is one of the most effective vaccine, but we've also given the practices of yoga and an alternate form of medicine, that is Ayurveda. WHO has recognized this alternative form of medicine along with the allopathy, which can be very much instrumental in treating COVID. We've all drank kadas during the COVID pandemic. So that is what? An Ayurvedic remedy. So this is what is happening to India's stature presently because of India's contributions. So we'll see in this particular topic India's contributions in multiple domains. But before that, we need to look into the challenges in front of the world, not in front of India, but the entire world. Conflicts in Asia and Europe. We can talk about conflicts in Russia, Ukraine, and now Israel Gaza. Shocks of the COVID 19 pandemic. Basically, economies are not able to recover. There is widespread inflation. Widespread inflation is due to these aspects as well. These wars have affected or impacted economies negatively all across the world. Inefficient multilateral bodies like the World Bank. In our previous video, when we were discussing about regional rapid transit system, where we saw that funding from multilateral banks like World Bank have not come because fundings are largely biased from these kind of bodies. So there needs to be reforms taken in these bodies, which we also discussed in this year's G20 forum. Supply chain disruptions of key essential commodities. Key essential commodities: fertilizers, food, fuel. The three F's, they have been heavily impacted due to, I would say, supply side constraints or supply chain disruptions. Supply chain disruptions earlier happened due to COVID, now due to these wars. And the big challenge, that is global warming, which the world is facing. So these are the challenges in front of the world, and how India has, stood by, or India has, I would say, contributed in facing these challenges. And India's way of facing these challenges actually has or is making India earn this tag of Vishwaguru, because we are becoming a global leader. Many countries, including the developed, developing, underdeveloped, are following our footsteps. And they want India to be their leader, especially the global south. Now, India's leadership, basically, it is a key point in geopolitical tumult that India has set an example for the rest of the world through its leadership of G20. Its value-based approach. Value-based approach was what? Emphasis on cooperation, human-centric vision of peace and progress for all. Vasudev Kutumbakam. Or one earth, one family, one future. We've clearly signified that we are together, the entire earth. Challenges we are facing are together, just like one family faces. And we all have one future for which we collectively have to strive. If we are divided, then this future will be destroyed. And it is now the time which we have to act. So India has emerged as a leader on many fronts, like successfully promoting the ideals of Vasudev Kutumbakam, inclusion of African Union in G20. This was promised by India, and India, when was assuming the presidency of G20 last year in Indonesia in 2022, clearly said that one of our major goals during our presidency would be that we will become the voice of the global south. And we delivered on that. Global south is developing and underdeveloped countries of Asia, Africa, and South America. By inclusion of African Union in G20, we have delivered on that. Vaccine assistance to more than 100 countries. This is something which is remarkable. Environmental conservation efforts like formation of International Solar Alliance, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, One Sun, One World, One Grid, Indo-Pacific Ocean initiatives, and such like. Many of these initiatives are with respect to climate change. Like, International Solar Alliance aims at developing the solar power capacity. Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure aims to make Infrastructure is more and more disaster resilient because disasters are increasing all across the world, and these disasters are increasing due to climate change. Like, for example, cyclones. More and more cyclones are getting formed due to global warming. More and more floods are coming, droughts are coming. So, like this. One Sun, One World, One Grid actually aims to promote this thing that anywhere in the world, electricity is generated by using solar power can be transmitted to other parts of the world. This will only happen when the entire world will be connected through the grid. Now, climate crisis, this is one such, I would say, challenge which the entire world is facing. And not only climate crisis or climate change, environmental degradation. These have emerged two of the world's greatest challenges presently, with the potential to create unimaginably adverse consequences for future generations. It is here that India has pointed to a different path. Now, people, especially the developed countries, they are giving solutions like technological solutions. They've developed some technology like carbon capture technology, or some have excelled in green hydrogen, something like this. ठीक है, India is also doing on this front. But India has adopted a different path, and here also India has shown it to the world that simply by, I would say, small steps, we can definitely make a big change. So, this is Mission Life. Mission Life is what? Lifestyle for environment. You adopt such a lifestyle that is basically an organic lifestyle, which will definitely help in conserving the environment. Like, for example, you're moving out of the room, switch off the lights, use more and more public transport. These kind of small activities, if you do, segregate the waste in your house, dry waste, wet waste. These small contributions by you will definitely have a big impact if billions of people are doing it. So, this is what India has given. India has shown the way by achieving its INDCs. INDC stands for Intended Nationally Determined Contributions, which we had to determine by ourselves. And for the first time, 2015 Paris Pact called for this. India submitted its INDCs in 2015-16. The target year was 2030. But guess what? India completed those 3 INDCs which we submitted 9 years before, I would say, the 2030. That is it, by 2021-22, most of our INDCs which we submitted in 2015-16 were completed. In 2021, we submitted another set of INDCs, this time 5, and with enhanced targets. We are now on the path of achieving that. So this is what India has done technologically also for climate crisis. But India is saying there should be a mix. Technological achievements, or I would say delivering on your promises by technological interventions like we did. We have become the world's 3rd largest solar energy generator. Renewable energy generator. Renewable energy capacity 3rd largest is there in India. If I talk about wind energy, 4th largest we are. Solar energy, 5th largest we are. 40% of our electricity generated is from non-fossil based fuels. Now, this was one of the INDCs which we kept in 2015, and 2030. By 2030, we had to achieve this 40% target. But we are here, 2021-22, we achieved 40% energy generation by non-fossil based fuels. So these have been the achievements. Apart from it, India says that these things should be done definitely, but yes, there should be some other things also, like Mission Life. This is what India only proposed, and India is saying that these are some lifestyle changes which we need to adopt, which will have a very drastic impact on the environment conservation. Then clean energy. Now, our Prime Minister was invited at the G7 summit this year in June 2022. PM Modi highlighted India's efforts towards clean energy. India is the world's first fully solar powered airport, Kochi Airport, I think it is. India's big railway system will become net zero in this decade. Net zero is this concept: how much ever you are emitting, you are, sucking in that much carbon. We achieved 40% energy capacity target from non-fossil sources 9 years before time. Actually, we had this target for 2030, but we achieved it in 2021. That is why he's saying 9 years before time. India is the 3rd largest producer of renewable energy in the world. 4th largest for wind energy, 5th largest for solar. Then multilateral or bilateral international agreements done by India for this clean energy. First is with USA. It is called as US India Strategic Clean Energy Partnership, USISCEP. Next is EU and India Clean Energy and Climate Partnership, CECP, which aim to enhance the capacity of, I would say, India in clean energy further. The next is supply chain resilience. Now, what happened was during COVID and after, COVID, just after COVID, you might be seeing various news pieces that automobile sector in India is struggling because China is not sending us semiconductor chips. And China was saying that, there are supply side constraints, like supply chain is disrupted due to COVID induced lockdowns in my country. How will I send? But China was sending it to other countries. So we realized that here also we need to become Atmanirbhar. Semiconductor chips is one thing which is used in almost every digital gadget in the present day world. And since we are living in this tech aid, this term has been coined by our Prime Minister only in his last year's Independence Day speech. Or I would say we are living in this digital age, the importance of semiconductor like products is immense. So we thought to become Atmanirbhar in this aspect as well. Because the importance of semiconductor chips is going to rise and rise. It is used in your mobile phones, laptops, this digital board you are seeing, it is used in your vehicles. Almost everywhere it is used. So, this happened and we took certain steps in this regard. In December 2021, the government announced nearly $10 billion production-linked incentive scheme to encourage chip manufacturing in India. In March 2022, Union Cabinet approved this event called as Semicon India to be held every year. So it is now being held every year. 2022 it was held, 2023 it was held, where various investors they come, semiconductor chip manufacturers they come. So this year's Semicon India, AMD, this is one of the biggest chip manufacturers in the world. It has announced $400 million investment in India for setting up its research and development facility. Then there was this, another investment by a major chip manufacturer in the world. It is going to set up its manufacturing unit over here. The Trilateral Supply Chain Resilience Initiative was signed or launched in collaboration with Australia and Japan. Trilateral means Australia, Japan, and India. Is another significant step in addressing the supply chain crisis. So it is like this. Digital infrastructure. Next. Now, India's digital infrastructure again has been praised by many countries, including some of the developed countries, because in 2015 we launched this Digital India initiative. Digital India initiative aimed to digitalize governance, first of all, means service delivery by the government that should be digitalized. Now you see every department that is digitalized, service delivery is digitalized, everything happens online. The vaccines you got administered online, everything happened. So that is basically digital public infrastructure. You take any domain, education, healthcare, or I would say food delivery by the government, everything digitalized. Digital public infrastructure it is called as. Now, Digital India also aimed to make, internet services affordable for the common people. That has also been made. India is one of those countries where internet data is the cheapest. So, this is what has been the success of our digital story. We have transformed from physical based system, means the government has transformed from physical based systems to digital based systems. It is not only easy for the government to deliver services to the people, but it is easy for the people also to take those services. Digital literacy is one such challenge here, but yes, this is we are coping up with this challenge slowly and gradually. The many countries are presently struggling in their transformation, digital transformation, from physical based system to digital based systems, and they are seeking India's help. India is helping them, again extending its soft power. And those countries are small. India is a huge country having, I would say, world's one of the largest population. There we have delivered it at that scale. That is something which you know, many countries all across the world are in awe of. So, what have been our achievements in this scenario? Technology adoption by the government has ensured a remarkable increase in transparency in governance. Corruption has reduced. We have identified ghost beneficiaries. Ghost beneficiaries are those people who exist on paper but actually they are not existing. But on their names, subsidies were being released by the government. Around, I would say, 10 crore ghost beneficiaries were identified by the government. In 2021, India reported 48 billion real time digital transactions. This fact is something which is, I would say, very inspiring for me personally. So, digital transactions, UPI, which we do, or online banking, internet banking. So, it was 48 billion real time digital transactions in 2021 we did. 40% of the global total. Means whatever digital transactions were happening in the world, 40% of them were happening in India. Interestingly, this is nearly 3 times higher than that happening in China. Second fact, more remarkable, 7 times greater than combined real-time payments volume of the world's leading economies. Means 7 times more than these transactions happening in the leading economies like US, Canada, UK, France, and Germany. Here we are. So India's UPI, we see this being praised by one and all. Whenever foreign, I would say, delegates come, they see how UPI is used. So they are in awe of that. And this is the data of 2021 which we have. In 2022, the digital transactions increased 5 to 6 times more. 2023, the data is yet to be there. But yes, the digital penetration in this domain particularly is commendable. You go to any small to small shop or a fruit vendor, vegetable vendor, you will see, भैया UPI है, Paytm करना, scanner दे दो. All these are things which we say to them and they give us. Now, India has a wish for where India has traditionally excelled basically in this domain. It is basically supplying vaccines to the world. More than 100 countries we have supplied vaccines, and our vaccines is one of the effective vaccines in the world, because when the third wave Omicron came, countries like USA and China were struggling. They again went under lockdowns, but India did not go under lockdowns. People were getting contracted, but they were getting cured. Now the new variant is now here. Let's see how our vaccine responds to this new variant now. Right. Let's see over here. India has provided free vaccines to nearly 100 countries and sent food aid and humanitarian assistance also to Afghanistan, Ukraine, and several African countries during and just after COVID. Yoga is another basically practice which we have given to the world, because during COVID and after COVID we were saying that do pranayam, do yoga. It will definitely help you to fight this particular disease. And not only here we were promoting this, we were promoting it all across the world. And guess what? It worked. That is why yoga has become more popular after the COVID-19. It is being more practiced now all across the world after COVID-19. This is what our traditional practice, which we've got from our past generations. And the entire world is recognizing it. 21st June has been declared as the World Yoga Day by none other than United Nations. So this is something which is a major achievement, and yoga has delivered also by showing it to the world that it was worthy of being labeled as, or a particular day being labeled after its name. Then during COVID, the government promoted Ayurvedic medicine also a lot. And Ayurvedic medicine was not promoted as an alternate to allopathic. Allopathic plus Ayurvedic. These combined remedies, if you do, you will be, better curing the problems. That is, especially during COVID. And WHO has also recognized this. And WHO has launched, I would say, a center here in India, the Center for Traditional Medicines, which is studying traditional medicines like Ayurveda and other Unani, Siddha and all. So then next, which India is given, is International Year of Millets. Now, millets is one such food grain which are largely ignored because the consumption of wheat and rice increased in the past few years. Not few years, but few centuries, I would say. People's increased focus on wheat and rice was there, and reduced focus on millets was there. And guess what? Millets are more nutritious than wheat and rice. But it is just that the consumption trends did not allow this millets to be consumed. The need was to generate awareness among the people. Another added advantage with millets is that you don't need, too much water to grow millets. These millets are not water intensive crops. In fact, they grow in semi-arid and arid regions. Rajasthan is one of the biggest producer of millets in India, and India is the biggest producer of millets in the world. So with this changing climate, global warming happening, semi-arid and arid regions are increasing, which definitely will be putting constraints on productivity of wheat and rice. Number of heat waves are increasing, which has an impact on the productivity of wheat. Droughts are coming, floods are coming, which impact the productivity of rice. So why not look to alternate, I would say, food? Just people need to be aware about it. And so we thought that we should, tell this to United Nations. So we proposed this to United Nations that in order to generate awareness, let us declare 2023 as the International Year of Millets. This proposal of India was accepted by 72 countries, and on 5th March 2021, United Nations General Assembly officially declared 2023 as International Year of Millets. Now we see that millets consumption in the entire world has increased. Even when the G20 delegates came, we served them millets as part of their menu, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And it was enjoyed by one and all. Just the need is that awareness, that I would say, giving up on your preconceived notions that wheat and rice products are the best. No, if you consume ragi, that is more nutritious. Ragi is a millet. If you consume pearl millet, that is more nutritious. So these have been the contributions of India, and definitely useful in your essays or in your mains answers. Some of the information can be handy in prelims as well. Next is Meri Mati Mera Desh campaign. It is basically a tribute to the Veers and Viranganas who have made supreme sacrifice for the country. Now, in the spirit of Jan Bhagidari means participation by the people. The campaign comprises many activities and ceremonies conducted across the country at panchayat, village, block, urban local body, state and national level. Actually, people from all the panchayats or villages, they took the Mati at the block level. From the block level, this was taken to the state capital. From the urban local bodies also, this was taken to the state capital. From the state capitals of all the states and UTs in India, it was taken to the national capital, that is Delhi, where Mati from all the entire country is accumulated in the national capital. Now, which activities were planned? Building of Shila Falakam, a memorial to express heartfelt gratitude to all the brave hearts who have made the supreme sacrifice for making their country independent. Panch Pran pledge taken by the people at Shila Falakam. Planting of saplings of indigenous species and developing them. Developing this Amrit Vatika, Vasudha Bandhan, and facilitation ceremonies for honoring the freedom fighters and the families of deceased freedom fighters, Veero Ka Bandhan, among others. So these were the activities that were undertaken. Then there was this Amrit Kalash Yatra. As I told you, soil and rice grains were taken from every village to the block level, from block level to the state capital, from every local body to the state capital, from every state capital to the national capital. This was Amrit Kalash Yatra. The Meri Mati Mera Desh campaign also included the Amrit Kalash Yatra, which comprises a collection of mitti, that is soil, and rice grains from over 6 lakh villages in rural areas and from wards in urban areas. which is sent to the block level, then to the state capital. From the state capital, it is sent to the national capital, accompanied by thousands of Amrit Kalash Yatris. The Amrit Kalash Yatra witnessed all the states and UTs represented by their respective blocks and urban local bodies putting mitti from their Kalash in one giant Amrit Kalash in the spirit of Ek Bharat Shresht Bharat. This giant Amrit Kalash was here in the national capital, Delhi. Now this mati or mitti which has been collected from all across the country will be used in making a vatika over here in Delhi, national capital, and a memorial will be also built to commemorate the freedom fighters. This is what actually was there, and the spirit of Ek Bharat Shresht Bharat had to be promoted by this. Now, how did the campaign perform? So, we need to look at this as well. With over 2.3 lakh Shila Falakams built in 36 states, UTs, 28 states and 8 UTs, nearly 4 crore Panch Pran pledge selfies were uploaded. 2 lakh plus Veeron Ka Bandhan programs nationwide happened. More than 2.36 crore indigenous saplings have been planted. 2.63 lakh Amrit Vatikas created under Vasudha Bandhan. Just hope the saplings which have been planted and the Vatikas which have been created, they are maintained and they are grown. Definitely, if they are, then it will help in our fight with the climate change as well. So, we've taken this pledge of becoming net zero. Net zero is whatever you are emitting, you are consuming. So, the trees, they take in carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas causing global warming. Definitely, these Vatikas can contribute in our efforts to becoming net zero. And with this, we have zeroed down on the second part of Yojana for the month of December. I will be meeting you in the third video now with the remaining two topics. Till then, you can go through this, and the original text of Yojana definitely should be gone through. So, take care. See you in the next video.